GM everyone, welcome back to another episode of Touchgrass Podcast. I was so excited about this since Rachit first said that we're gonna have Vukan from JurassicFi. I'm a big dinosaur fan myself from the early days. I think I've watched the first one. I think the first one is probably my favorite one. But yeah, we finally have Dinosaurs Onchain, guys, powered by JurassicFi. But yeah, Vukan, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm feeling great. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. Right now, we just did our pitch at the build station for Super Team Balkan. Raise is still ongoing for another 2.5 days, almost 3 days actually. Yeah, feeling overwhelmed, extremely overwhelmed, but very happy for the support that the ecosystem is giving us.
Yeah,
I
for
think
those who
I
know,
think that's probably yeah,
yeah, I was
KG. I
just
think that's probably where we want to start. Like, Vukan, how are you guys feeling, man? Like, last I checked, you guys were like 57x oversubscribed. You guys are only looking for 200K on MetaDAO. This thing is exploding everywhere. Like, everyone's talking about this. So, how are you and Sora feeling, and the rest of the team?
Yeah, thank you. Well, we're feeling like obviously fantastic. At the end of the day, it doesn't extremely matter what the number is because we got 200K and that's the only amount we can get. That's like the first thing that if anyone's listening and needs to take something out of here is that we are only raising 200K and also we don't even have access to this 200K, right? We're launching with MetaDAO, their permissionless platform, and very simply how it works is like you have this pool of 200K in the treasury and we need to do proposals to be able to ask to get money to actually do stuff. So let's say we want to transport this dinosaur, this triceratops head, let's say the first one that we're going to do, from one museum to another museum. Well, we do a proposal, we need this much money to do it. The market then votes via Futardio, buys yes and no, and they just like any prediction market, they buy the yes and no, and then whichever is the most bought passes. So it's the fairest way to launch. I also like to say that MetaDAO and ownership coins are like the most innovative thing to happen to crypto since stable coins. And I just think it's fantastic. But we're feeling like really really grateful, really really happy, and I'm happy that we can also be super happy about this because it's not like, oh, we raised $150 billion to make the new L1. No, we're launching an ownership coin. It's like it doesn't matter what my role is, what my position is. We all just own this coin, and it's just like the collective owns it. It's not like,
yeah,
oh, we just raised 100 billion and we're gonna do something. No, it's just the fairest way, and we're super happy that we can be happy about it.
100%. We've had some other projects that raised on MetaDAO, and it's super impressive to see in these conditions and how like the new teams and everyone is unique, and you guys are probably the most unique we have seen so far. But yeah, Vukan, like let's go back to the story of yours. How did this concept even come by? Was it like dinosaur fanatic all your life and you started this thing, or what's like the why did the concept come about? Was there a big thesis behind this? Yeah, just talk us through about the concept of Jurassic Finance.
Sounds good. So I'm gonna give a little bit of backstory. So I've been running my own social media agency for crypto, specifically Solana projects, for a few years now, since early 23, just focusing on organic social media growth and video content. And I was, lucky enough to be able to scale it quite a bit. And then, especially in the past 6 months, thanks to AI, hiring also some people, I was able to put that workload quite low. And then from 2026, I started thinking I want to do something new. I actually started Ownership, which is the leading media company for ownership coins and MetaDAO with 8-bit penis. And I just got into MetaDAO ecosystem and I'm like full Futarki pilled. As I said, like I'm super bullish on MetaDAO, super bullish on ownership coins. So we started doing some media, and that went pretty well. And of course, we're still running it, but I wanted to build an actual something, a much more concrete as a product. Like one is a marketing agency, one is a media company. It's all about media, but I wanted to build something real. And I'm close with MetaDAO. I'm, loving the Solana ecosystem. I see that Solana wants tokenization. They want crazy tokenization stuff, not just like the simple metals and oils. At this point, it's 2026. It's like May. At this point, we got to level it up, right? So we're like, let's do dinosaurs. How do we get to this? To be honest, so that's the prerequisite. I'm thinking about an idea. I want to do something new in MetaDAO, tokenization, Solana, and it needs something absolutely crazy. And the last and the most important thing is people want to feel something. Like people now with all this BS that's going on in the world, and not just in crypto. Like people want to feel something, and people are nostalgic, and people remember when they were a kid, they used to have dinosaur underwear, a dinosaur. They used to watch shows and things like that. So it was. Like the industry, like Solana needs this. So how do we get to it? Well, I was literally just scrolling on YouTube Shorts, to be honest, and I saw a short by Graham Stephan, who is, I think, the number one financial YouTuber in the US, and it was like, this is why dinosaurs are like pumping for the past few months, and I was like, okay, this is it, and that was just like, yeah, we're gonna do dinosaurs, and yeah, that's pretty much the idea.
Was it also like a bit of seeing the Pokemon cards and all the collectibles market, the watch market over the last 5 years, vintage cars? Were you like seeing, okay, this is clearly a trend of being people buying timeless assets like this? And what's something that is probably the most rarest of all, that is dinosaurs? Is that also part of your thesis? Like this market is just going to explode and these will be the most coveted assets out there?
Yeah, really good question. The answer is yes and no. Like obviously, Collector Crypt. I don't have to say anything about them, but they showed that people in October were like, yeah, this market is gonna die very soon. Like this is a Ponzi, and then now it's bigger than ever still. So in that sense, yeah, like I saw Collector Crypt back when it was like hyped up on Twitter. I think it was end of last year, and I've been thinking about collectibles. But no, because those are Pokemon cards. Like, of course, you still do have that nostalgia when you were like, 10, 12, watching watching that. But at the end of the day, they're cheap assets. Like you have one, two, three Charizard cards that are like 500K or something, but 90%, 99% is probably under 1K. I don't know about that market that much, but I'm assuming that the majority is just like, almost worthless cards. But dinosaurs are like the best performing asset of exactly what you said. You said watches. So if we look at watches, fine art, expensive wines, retro cars, assets that are like meant to be displayed and meant to grow over time, like pawn shop stuff, but like on the next level. That is what was missing, and that's what we're thinking about. So we're like, okay, you have all these crazy assets that should be tokenized on Solana, and then there's this number one asset, which is like the rarest, the coolest, the best performing. And it just makes people feel, right? Because literally, God is the dev, right? 60 million years ago, someone made these massive monsters. And we still have a few of them, but only the creme de la creme, only the 1% of the 1% has even access to be able to buy this, right? You cannot, like, if a dinosaur head is $1 million, your net worth is probably going to have to be at least 50 million for you to be comfortable to buy something like that. So exactly what we're doing here is we're democratizing assets, we're democratizing investment into this asset thanks to Solana.
Got it. How big do you think the market is? And do you think like this has been like a trend for a long time and is right now picking up? But how would you say is the size of this market? And yeah, how much is like, is it in tens of billions or what's like the size of it right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, in all of our pitches, in all of our posts, we showed how big the market is. Like I can talk about all the numbers. I can talk about how the Ken Griffith bought that Apex that was valued at 4 million or at 6 million, and then it went to 44. So the market is growing crazily just by purely looking at the numbers. But then on the like ideological side, we're thinking like, okay, a lot of more younger people are making a lot more money, more than even the older generations, but they're not making enough money to be able to get into this old money assets like you said, watches, wines, dinosaurs. So there is a lot of this young money, and they are nostalgic, and they want to put their money somewhere that's not a rug, that's not a scam. That's why we choose MetaDAO. And they want to put it somewhere that's going to grow over time. And yeah, this was just like the perfect thing to do for that type of investor.
And then, Vukan, do you want to talk a little bit about like how do you value these dino fossils? Like, uh, for someone that's buying like a $4 million Triceratops heads, like how are they valuing that? How does this sort of reselling market work in the real world? Is like a T-Rex more valuable than a Triceratops? Can you give us a little bit more insight on how you and the team are thinking about buying these fossils in the future?
Yeah, of course. So first off, let me say that, like me and Sora, which are the co-founders, which are the core two only core team members, like we're just like young, full of energy, full of execution. We have the connections, but of course, we can't do this alone. So we have a few advisors that are helping us. We have like a tokenization advisor. We have an advisor that helps with paleontology. So he actually can tell us if the dinos are good or not. We have also another with our legal advisor for the legal stuff. And also we have a tokenization advisor that's going to help us with the actual tokenization process. But so how do we choose and well, you can think about it this way. Let me give you a super small crash course. So dinosaurs, there's so few of them, and you can literally think about them like as brands, as cars, as things like that. So like the reason why that Stegosaurus went for so much money is because his name was Apex. He's Apex, right? He's not a Stegosaurus, he's Apex the Stegosaurus. That is one reason. They're just like a brand. They're just like Louis Vuitton, Givenchy. Like the name means so much. If I tell you like Arachnosaurus, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But I tell you T-Rex, you're like, yeah, I know what a T-Rex is. So they're literally just like a brand. That's on one side. On the other side, it matters what it actually is, right? So the most valuable thing is the full body, right? Like the Stegosaurus, that a full body, that's like 50 million. For something like a Triceratops head, which is you could say with the glass casing is like the size of a fridge, that goes around like $1 million because it's still a big name. Triceratops is a big name, and it's a head. So the second thing that's important is like, what is it? Is it the head? Is it the body? No one cares about a foot. No one cares about a toe. It really doesn't matter. The things that matter is the brand, right? Because you look at the T-Rex, you already know you're connecting Jurassic Park, you're connecting all these different things. It's just like any other brand. So yeah, T-Rex is number one by far. There's no comment on that. Like T-Rex, only the T-Rex head is probably like 20 times the Triceratops head, just for the head. And for like a full T-Rex, I don't even know if there's any for sale. But you can think about them literally just like brands. And then the second most important thing is what actually is it? Is it the foot? Is it a head? Is it this? Is it that? There's some other things, but that's kind of like the core. And the market itself is just like booming, like
Yeah.
incredibly. You can just look at the past sales.
I
Yeah.
would like personally, I think more than the head, I think the claw or the tooth
I think
probably.
the tooth also, you
Tooths
put it
are
on
cool,
like
but they're just not that expensive. Like you could probably get a tooth for like in the range of tens of thousands of dollars, right? Not millions. Yeah, it's cool. We could maybe even think about that down the line. But for now, we're just focusing on like these massive pieces because we need to put them in the museum. And like if you put teeth in the museum, no one's really gonna care. But when they see like this big dino head, it's gonna be really crazy. Especially because when we give it to the museum, they pay for the insurance, they pay for the maintenance, they pay for the transportation. They have a little, probably, we can add a little QR code. We can add a little own this dinosaur at Jurassic Finance or whatever. So we get PR, we get people with Instagram reels, people doing Twitter, news, BBC, CNN, live, whatever the hell. So that's why we chose to do with museums because it's like so easy. They do so much of the heavy lifting. Of course, we loan them this asset that's like extremely valuable and that's gonna get them so many sales, especially if we're like this is a tokenized dinosaur, and now all of our community or like people that are living, the crypto community that's living in that country or city of the museum, they can just go and check out the dinosaur. So we're giving them a lot, but they are giving us also a lot. And also, like paleontologists and scientists, they hate private holders because they hold it in the warehouse. It gets dust. It like goes bad. It's not ideal conditions, and it's just like really really bad. So we're actually like doing good for dinosaur studies and scientists because then they can also come to the museum, study the specimen. It's in perfect condition. So it's kind of like even we're doing it in a very ethical way, which is also why we chose MetaDAO because we can't rug and people don't have to trust us.
Yeah. How does the buying and selling even take place? Like, usually these things have auction with like these big item pieces. Like, how do you go and source something that you want? If you like, I mean, in future you're not just going to own one piece, right? You're going to own multiple things. How does the sourcing work? Is there like a marketplace for stuff like this? How does that work?
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me already comment on like what we're actually doing next, because you mentioned the next ones as well. So the first one, which is going to be probably Triceratops head, which is going to be in around 2 months. And then we want to do another two next year, probably in Q1 of next year to do one, and then somewhere in like Q3, Q2 next year to do another. And we want to do these like all bigger and bigger. Like if we do the first one for one, hopefully we can get enough traction to get like three for the next one, and we can get like something much cooler, like maybe some smaller dinosaur, but like a full body. We'll see. Sorry, can you repeat that? So that was the second part of the question. What was the first part of the question?
Like, how do you source these
Yeah,
heads, or
yeah,
how
yeah, yeah.
where do you
Gotcha.
go to buy them?
Yeah, so usually if you just check out like where people are buying them, they're usually buying them from Sotheby's. So they're doing an auction. Someone that has a dino head privately will come to Sotheby's, give it there. He'll pay some fee. Of course, the persons who are bidding will pay some fee, and that's how it clears. But that's actually not like that's how we went into this. But then we realized there's a much better way, which like you can just work directly with private sellers, and then you don't have to pay some fee. You don't have to do a lot of that, bureaucracy. It's not so many papers. It just goes everything smoother. So essentially, we just I mean now we already have some offers. We're already in talks with some people, so it's actually pretty easy. Because we also do have, like as I mentioned, our Sotheby's advisor who has all these connections. So the connection is not the problem, and now it's just like looking for the right specimen for the right price, and then we open up the raise, and then we acquire it. Of course, pre-raise, you have like everything that you could need to verify the validity of the fossil, and that's pretty much how we're doing it.
That makes sense. And then Vukan, do you want to talk a little bit about, I think it's important to highlight why you chose Solana as the ecosystem for this. Like, this could have been anywhere. Obviously, you have a background in working in the Solana ecosystem and working with projects, helping them scale, which I'm assuming is like a very big part.
Yeah.
And the Solana Foundation's been really supportive as well. I've been seeing all the tweets. But like, why Solana, and how's your experience been building on Solana yourself uh, as a founder?
Yeah, sounds good. So I'll give you like the direct, no BS answer. Honestly, literally is the support that they do for the community, because I'm like extremely close with Super Team Balkan guys, and they have such an amazing office here. They have such an amazing space, amazing energy. They support everyone. They have grants. Like they're just fantastic. And I used to work before in the Ethereum ecosystem and other EVM-based ecosystems, and like the support was just horrible. I don't think we need to talk about it, but we all know like what Ethereum Foundation is doing, and it's just when you look at Solana and the way they're supporting absolutely everyone is just like no brainer. So already I'm like emotionally invested in Solana, and I don't even see how another ecosystem can take me over, because they're doing so much for actual like individuals, actual people, just to support. Like we got followed by Solana 15 minutes after our tweet went live, and they just they checked that we're legit guys, and they supported us, they retweeted, they pushed us. Like they did not have to do that. There was no reason to do that. And now also thanks to that, we just got 10 million in commitments off of a 200k limit. So it's like it's super granular. I don't want to go like superficial and be like whatever. No, I want to tell you like literally the support that they've been showing, even like when I was like quote unquote nobody, like a year and a half ago, it's like just went better and better and better, and they've always supported, even when we was like nobodies, even when we didn't have a project, even when we like was working full time. They helped me get a job, which then helped me progress in the career, and then after I was able to do this. So it's like the community support that Solana does, it's like nothing could make me switch to somewhere else as like full time. Of course, I do some side projects, some like small videos, things like that. But like, I'm like all in Solana, and I think it's literally obvious that it's gonna be the best place to build internet finance over the next decade.
Yeah, it is where careers are made. Well, me and KG both made our careers in Solana as well. Initially, Vukan, I know we're getting closer to the end of this pod. This has been amazing. I think, with the Triceratop heads coming on, with your raise sort of ending tomorrow, there's just so much there's possible here. Like, I think one scenario that's running in my head, you guys do the Triceratop head and then you're able to flip it, and then you're able to show an immediate profit to those guys as well. Like, that could be a possibility. Like, there's just so much for you guys to do here, and I'm really excited. But I want to hear from you. Like, what is the roadmap ahead? Obviously, we have the Triceratop head here, but like, do you want to talk about the 3 or 5 year sort of goal here? Like, are we going to expand to like, I don't know, like Cleopatra's goals for instance? Like, is this going to be like National Treasure where you just do so many different things? Well, how are you guys thinking about it?
Sounds good. So we already have like a 5-year plan. I'm gonna share a little bit about it, but we have a concrete 18-month plan that's like very straightforward. So we just finished this raise now. In 2 months, we have our next raise, which is gonna be for the dinosaur. In the meanwhile, while that's running, that's gonna be just like open until it fills to 1 million. Or hits like 30 days or something. So that's open. And during that meantime, we're doing everything in the back end with the dinosaur, the contracts, all that. We get the money raised and then we just give the money, we get the dino. Ideally, this is alpha here I'm giving. We actually buy it in London and then we take it to Breakpoint. So it's gonna be at Breakpoint, we have some community activation, and then we like the deal with the museum is already done, signed, Breakpoint is done, we put it to the museum, and then we close out the year with like, okay, we showed that we were able to do everything. We raised the labs company, we raised the triceratops head, we bought it, we tokenized it, and it's in the museum, and everything is right. So that's for this year, so that's another like 6 months or something. For next year, these are the big goals. Second SPV and third SPV. These are like ideally like a 3 million and a 5 million, or maybe depends on the traction, but we want to do bigger and better dinos. And then adding liquidity. So of course, like when we do the first SPV, we raise 1 million, we buy the dino, there's no more million, right? So it's an illiquid asset. And what we're doing initially, right as soon as it's live, we're doing an 80-cent buyback wall. So like this is an asset, like if you invest in a dino, you're prepared to hold for at least 2 years. And if you want to sell after 2 months, well, you're going to have to pay us 20 cents on the dollar to sell it back. So that's going to be live as soon as the first SPV is done, just so there's some initial liquidity. And then also by the end of the year, we want to add our lending pool, which is just 50% LTV, 15% APY. So like you give us 10K, you put in the pool 10K of the Triceratops head token, and you get 5K USDC, etc. So that's also by the end of this year that we want to do that looping and that buyback mechanism just for the dinosaurs, and that way also the treasury of the company just goes up because we're buying this asset at a discount. And then yeah, as I said, next year 2 more SPVs, and of course the big North Star is like a marketplace slash launchpad where like you can just buy, sell, like trade dinosaur bones without having to you know. How do I say, like you can just own a little piece of the dinosaur, trade it, and there's instant liquidity. We can have market makers, you can make fees of this, and just have a full-on dinosaur marketplace. But talking about the like long-term, like 5-year plan, I'm gonna give also alpha here. The way I think about it is like, why did Polymarket go massive, right? 2024 elections, that's it. So dinosaurs and Jurassic Finance is like the 2024 elections moment for Polymarket for what we're actually building. What I mean by that is like we're starting with dinosaurs, but like we're guys that like love history. So imagine we could tokenize like, I don't know, Napoleon's hat, or I don't know, Winston Churchill's like signed documents or passport, or like things like this, or like I think like swords from like the Crusader Wars go for like 5-6 millions. And the reason why I love these assets is just because they're super cool, they're super valuable, and they go in a museum and they have this kind of utility. You can tokenize them, they go up over time, and private investors can then buy them off of you as well. So we are looking at much, much wider than just dinosaurs. But for now, we are just fully locked in because we need to prove, like, we got the hype, we showed what we can do with our marketing and distribution, but now it's just time to be like heads down and execute. We have like 6 months for the rest of the year. You heard what our goals are, and like now it's just on us to execute so we can move forward to the massive plans that we have on how to turn this like into an actual unicorn.
Yeah, I think it's really smart. You know, the museum angle, like one of the questions we had that we wanted to ask was, how are you doing custody and ensuring that these assets are safe? Because this is one of the biggest problems that we've seen with like watches, paintings, and all these other assets that come on chain in the past. I think partnering up with museums is really novel, and it's going to also ensure visibility of the asset and the sort of reselling angle as well. Vukan, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't let you go without asking this one final question. You know, we had Crew on the show before, and he talked.
Yeah.
He gave a very sort of detailed answer in terms of why founders should prefer MetaDAO. I want to ask the same question to you. Do you have any advice for founders who are looking to raise in the current environment, and why MetaDAO might be the most suitable way for them to raise right now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm gonna be very straightforward. It's like at this point, code is like a commodity. I think this is something that Josip, who is the advisor of Superteam Balkan, said, and I love that because anyone can build now anything, literally. The only thing that matters is number one, distribution, and then why you, right? Why you? MetaDAO allows founders to be like, well, this is why me, and you can trust me that I'm not gonna rug you. So it's literally, I even look at MetaDAO kind of like a small hackathon type of page where you can just prepare whenever you want, launch your raise, and then the market is going to either fund you or not fund you. And they can fund you for just 50K. And that's enough for like a solo founder to live on a year, eating ramen and noodles. And actually, you can build a product. So, like this, I made a tweet about this a few days ago. It's like, quit your job and become a MetaDAO founder. Because at this point, if you have any crazy idea, just try and raise. And if you get filled and people believe in you, then you could just go and build your own thing, and they will trust you because you cannot rug any. Like if you wanted to, you cannot rug, and if you try and scam and lie, you're just gonna get liquidated very fast.
That makes sense. I think that's the perfect pitch. It also sort of filters through a lot of the noise, and I think that's why a lot of investors are now trusting MetaDAO projects. Like this race has been insane, and it sort of is a testimony to the
It
MetaDAO model.
showed that it's not about MetaDAO, right? It's about the team, it's about the
Yeah,
it's about the investors, it's about the idea. Like I think MetaDAO proved the platform doesn't matter. Obviously not if you're pump fund, then that's BS. But like the actual launch platform, it can be called Futardio, and people are still gonna put $10
yeah,
million into a raise because of the team and because of this. And then they just have the best infrastructure because of their governance and because of the legal aspect that they have.
that is true. It is where dreams are funded. Is the
Literally,
best way
literally.
to say it. But yeah, Vukan, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for the time. Very excited to see what you and Sora come up to next. We're gonna have you on. If you end up having the dinosaur at Breakpoint, I assure you we're gonna do like an IRL thing there,
Yeah,
and
we
we'll
with like the dinosaur behind, we can
we'll,
do an
we'll we'll do
interview.
something. We'll do something crazy. But this has been
Yes,
awesome.
yes,
Very
yes.
excited to see the race close out on the 14th. Thank you so
Uh,
much for your time.
yes.
Vukan.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.